The U.S. Declaration of Independence says we all have the right to life and liberty. But the truth is, you don't have the right to life and liberty unless you can afford it. 1 in 7 Americans lives in poverty. That means they can't afford basic needs like food and shelter. But we have an abundance of resources. We throw away 40% of the food that we produce. And there are 6 vacant homes for each homeless American. The issue is simply people just don't have access to money. Thanks to globalization and automation, there are not enough jobs for everybody to earn a living. So why don't we just give everybody the money they need to live? Sounds crazy, I know, but in Switzerland, they are actually proposing the idea to give each citizen $2,500 a month for nothing, no strings attached. It's called an unconditional basic income. I think it's a good idea, and here are 10 reasons. Reason number 1, health. Most of what we're all stressed out about is money. That stress leads to poor mental health, which leads to poor physical health, both of which leads to medical bills, which leads to even more stress about money. This survival anxiety can be eliminated with a basic income, so people can focus their mental energy on something other than worrying about money. Imagine what people could accomplish. Number 2, crime will decrease. People are less likely to sell harmful drugs or steal if they don't have to.
I steal only what I can afford. That's everything.
Reason number 3, it's ethical. Everyone agrees it's messed up for SeaWorld to deprive the whales of food just to get them to do tricks, but we treat humans the same way. It's unethical and unnecessary to force people to do tricks to survive when there's more than enough resources to go around. Reason number 4, productivity. You might be worried that if people didn't have to work to earn money to survive, that things wouldn't get done, but people want to do things. Yes, some people will quit their jobs if they don't have to work them, but it's good for these people to quit their jobs because, let's face it, if they hate their job, they're probably doing a shitty job at it. Them leaving opens up a job for somebody who does want it. Everybody that's working a job is going to be doing so because they choose to. So productivity would increase because people who like what they're doing are better at it and more efficient. When people don't have to work a job, they can spend their time doing something they find meaningful, whether it's volunteering at an animal shelter, teaching, raising their own children, programming some open source software that's gonna change the freaking world. Number 5, fair wages. If people are dependent on a job for survival, they have to take any job available. They can never negotiate a fair wage. Companies will only offer fair wages if people have a choice not to work. Reason number 6, efficiency. Welfare in the US is a complex maze of 126 separate anti-poverty programs. That's 126 separate bureaucratic departments reviewing, rejecting, re-reviewing, then maybe accepting same applicants every other week.
All this for a loaf of bread?
What a waste of time and money. Cut out the bureaucracy and just give the money to everyone. Reason number 7, transparency. One basic income program is so simple and so efficient that it's effectively transparent, so government would have a lot less bureaucracy to hide behind. Reason number 8, it's affordable. To pay each adult US citizen $1,000 a month, it would cost $2.8 trillion a year. The US government spends more than twice that, $6 trillion a year. So it's not a question of whether we can afford it. We have the money. It's just a matter of spending our budget more effectively. I'd much rather my tax dollars go to my own and my fellow citizens' survival rather than pay for the poorest of our nation to be shipped off to another country to throw grenades and get shot at. Reason number 9, the economy. When people have no money, people can't spend money. And when there's no spending, businesses fail and jobs are lost. Basic income provides people with money to spend. That would stimulate the economy, benefiting everybody from business owners to their employees. Reason number 10, it would effectively eliminate poverty. Please leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you think, why or why you don't support it. Let's have a discussion.
I became friends with my downstairs neighbour by lending stuff. And it started small. It started because they knocked on my door. They were having a party and they needed some extra chairs. That gave me the freedom, the permission to knock on their door a few days later. And from then on, it rather escalated. And we actually took the fence between our gardens down. Sometime later, actually, I was cycling down the street and I saw someone with a hedge cutter and I thought, I need your hedge cutter. But I didn't have any relationship with them. And I didn't quite have the courage to ask them for the hedge cutter. And I thought, there must be a lending website out there. But there wasn't. And from there, the idea of Street Bank was born. Street Bank's about sharing things with your neighbours. And it's not just about lending, it's about giving unwanted stuff away and about sharing skills as well. And obviously, you could be on the receiving end. Imagine your street where you are connected to your neighbour, where you can borrow a hedge cutter, where you could pick up an unwanted bread maker, or where you gather a few street bank neighbours together to clear an elderly neighbour's garden. These are all things that happen almost every day on the street bank, and joining street bank could make your neighbourhood that little bit better.
Meet Bill, Steve and Warren, an entrepreneur, a startup and a small businessman. They all have practical money-making and job-creating ideas to create new businesses and help make a better community. But they need money or a loan to fund and build their ideas. How can they raise the money to create this business, and what is the roadmap? The most common method is to get a loan from a bank. But banks consider start-up entrepreneurial ventures too risky, especially now with the economic downturn and today's restrictive lending policies. Then the answer is usually a big no. Clearly, this way there is very little new business development, innovation or growth. Just think of business and the world without the Bills, Steves and the Warrens. Currently, an entrepreneur needs a business plan and a loan application, then a drive to the bank to meet with the loan officers in the hope of getting a loan. But not anymore. Through the internet, using cloud and social media environments, the entrepreneur can access hundreds or thousands of potential investors through crowdfunding websites. There are several ways to seek crowdfunding. The first is the donation method of crowdfunding. This model has been around for years. People can donate money in small increments to a project which they believe has moral and ethical value and that is good for the community. Examples of this are asking for donations on Facebook causes or GoFundMe. The second is the pre-order method of crowdfunding. Here people make online pledges during a campaign to pre-buy the product for later delivery. A good example of this is Kickstarter. The third is the reward-based method of crowdfunding. This is a variation on the two previous types, where investors get the satisfaction of helping and immediately get a predetermined reward or item of value, but no equity or ownership. A good example of this is Indiegogo. And finally, the fourth is equity-based crowdfunding. This is the newest model, which will allow large numbers of regular people like you and me to invest small amounts each online to fund early startups with the expectation to receive dividends or investment appreciation based on profits of the business. So now we can see that crowdfunding is using the crowd to raise capital by connecting people with talent, ideas and some neat stuff to sell with those that have the funds to invest their way, thus creating jobs, new business opportunities and fueling the economy. Crowdfunding revenue is projected to top $2.8 billion in 2012 and more than $16.6 billion in 2014. The speed of growth of crowdfunding from 2009 to 2014 is very similar to the growth pattern of the internet in the early 1990s. This raises the big question. Do you want to just watch crowdfunding happen and grow, or do you want to be a part of it? How about leveraging the 2.5 billion internet users who can be potential investors with a projected $300 billion of investment revenue opportunity? Do you know the size and potential of your social capital? Discover how to capitalize on your network and learn to start your successful crowdfunding campaign now.
Hi, I'm Jonas. Do you know what open source is? Well, let me explain it for you. Basically, it means that the recipe of any given work is shared and free for anybody to use. Let me take you back where it all started. In the 1980s, a guy named Richard Stallman had a problem with the software in his printer. He could fix the printer himself, but unfortunately, he was not allowed to get inside the black box by the manufacturer. This frustration was the beginning of the free and open source movement. The essential benefits of open source are access to the source or recipe of any given work, free remix and redistribution of any given work, an end to predatory vendor lock-in, and a higher degree of cooperation. Open source is originally a software-related term. But let's take a non-technical example of where the open source mindset is actually used today. Here's Dave. He is a really passionate skateboarder. He loves the community because everyone shares tips and tricks openly. This means that everybody has access to the source of becoming a better skateboarder. Dave has the opportunity of remixing an existing trick and making it even better. He becomes more skilled, faster. If Dave's skateboard breaks, he doesn't necessarily have to go back to the vendor to get it fixed. He can also fix it himself with the help of one of his friends from the community. This is because the design of the skateboard is open source. In the skateboard community, you share new ideas and remix each other's tricks. You cooperate and reach much higher standards than any skateboarder could reach alone. Now let's take another example. Here's Susan and Michael. They have just bought a new property and now need a new house. John is an open source architect and offers 3 designs that Susan and Michael can base their dream house on. They choose option A because it best fits their needs. But Susan wants a conservatory as well, so Michael draws one and adds that as an extension to their chosen house design, option A. Susan and Michael choose Company A to help build the house. It should be easy for Company A to build it because the architectural drawings and guidelines are already produced by John, the open source architect. But during the process, Susan and Michael find out that Company A's employees are very slow and not very polite. They therefore get Company B to finish the work. It's easy for Company B to take over the project because everything is openly documented. Fortunately, Company B does an amazing job of completing the construction project. In the meantime, Coco and June have shared a new solar cell design as an extension to option A as well. Susan and Michael also decide to add that to their home. Susan and Michael are now happy owners of a beautiful and customized new home. But John is also happy. He can now add 2 new extensions to his professional portfolio without having done anything himself. So now I've given you a taste of some of the many benefits of open source. But before I leave you, I have to put an end to some of the myths that still exist. First, you have no control of your work. That's not true. As the initiator, John, the open source architect, verifies extensions and chooses what can be added to his specific project, and therefore also decides where the project is heading. Second, open equals unsafe. Not true. In an open source project, many people are involved and cooperate to make an even safer product and to keep unauthorized people out. And third, everything is free. No, the source itself is free and publicly available, but the house must, for example, still be built, customized, maintained, and provided with water, power, and heat. Hopefully you can now better understand the positive term open source and the principles within. Please start opening up and use the extreme beneficial principles the way they deserve. As mentioned, my name is Jonas, and I'm representing Bit Blueprint. We have, in collaboration with Moving Monday, made this video to help scale the positive principles within the open source paradigm. We have, of course, made this video free for everyone to use, modify, and share, so feel free to do that. Thanks for watching.